So, again, I'm Dave. Nice to see everybody, and welcome to the first AMP conference ever. It's quite an amazing achievement that we've all gotten here, and we've all come together. We have about 300 of you here live in New York City, and they've traveled from everywhere as far as China and Russia and Brazil, and people even came all the way from Brooklyn. It's crazy. We also have 1,000 plus people who are going to be watching on the live stream, and AMP is really about this. It is really about a family. And speaking of family, even my mom is watching on the live stream. I got this last night. Hi, Mom. I'll call you later. So I better not mess this up. So we've been here. We've been launched for about a year, and we've made actually some incredible progress. And I'm really in awe of all the work that folks have done. It really hasn't been that long since a bunch of technology companies and a bunch of publishers got together to kind of figure out how we could make the web work really instantly and how we could deliver on an amazing experience for users on their phone. We've made tremendous progress, but it really all comes down to doing this together. This is not something that could be done by one company. This has to be done by all four pillars here of the technology platforms, the ecosystems that power the web, the publishers and the webmasters that make the content, the contributors, the most important folks who actually check in code into the GitHub and make this thing work. So this is really an effort that is a joint effort of all these parties, and it's the first time I've ever seen anything like this in the industry where everybody's really coming together to rally around one common cause, one goal, which is to make the mobile web awesome. So let's start with publishers. So this is a list of some of the publishers that have started creating AMP content in just the last few months. More and more are coming on all the time, and while we started with news content, it's really been adopted quite broadly by a wide variety of different verticals. You see everything from e-commerce sites here, we see some movie sites, we see obviously some great news publishers. And it's really amazing to see the momentum that people are having and the success that people are having on AMP. So today, websites of all sizes are actually making good progress. Some notable ones that I want to talk about today is Snapdeal, which is one of the largest e-commerce sites in India. And they've recently amped up all their listing pages. In fact, I went and looked at a camera this morning on Snapdeal. It was awesome. Which it turns out is about 70 to 80% of all of their content. And as expected, you make things faster, you get better performance. 52% average increase in their orders. And a 59% average daily traffic increase on their pages. So that's a pretty substantial improvement for an e-commerce site to see that kind of lift. And that just comes from making your pages perform really, really well. LinkedIn, which is one of our earliest platform distributors, has launched AMP, and they see almost a 10% average lift in the time spent on an AMP article versus an article that is a non-AMP site. And that's one of their key metrics at LinkedIn, and it's a very important thing to see people actually spending time and engaging longer on the content when it's faster. Terra, which is one of the largest online media companies in Latin America, has noticed that their AMP pages load twice as fast as they did before, and not surprisingly, they get twice the amount of time spent on AMP pages as they do on their non-AMP pages. And Blick, who is a large publisher in Switzerland, is seeing 135 millisecond load time versus their 2.3 second load time. So we're seeing tremendous progress. We're seeing lots of companies having great success adopting this as publishers. And the thing that excites me most is the diversity, is that it's not just the news publishers, it's not just the static web pages that people think of when they think of AMP. It's actually all sorts of new use cases, and from everything from e-commerce to blogs, et cetera. And we even are starting to do some things that are kind of crazy. So we have a presentation I'm going to show you now, which is a little sneak preview into a talk that's coming up later today, which is called I Can't Believe It's AMP. And I saw this and I couldn't believe that this was AMP either, so I thought I would show it to you. This goes in the list of things you probably shouldn't actually try to build in AMP, but it's just too fun. All right. We cut over to them. All right, so this here is a messaging client built in AMP. Because of course, why not? This is hot off the presses, so I have no idea if this will work. Let's see. Oh, it's not working. So I have a contingency plan if it's not working. I was going to have Sebastian, who wrote this masterpiece, come up on stage. Welcome, Sebastian. And he's going to make it work. See, as I said, these are the things you probably shouldn't do in AMP. It wasn't intended to build applications. It was intended to build content sites. But content sites can be incredibly rich and incredibly diverse. And now everybody's staring at your JavaScript debugger. It's amazing. Did I click the wrong thing? It's a user error, isn't it? Yeah. All right. There we go. So this is actually just using off-the-shelf AMP components. This is using live list and AMP bind and a bunch of other crazy things. Some stuff that you'll see announced later today. Some stuff that's going live with the conference. And I really encourage you to check out his presentation. Can we cut back to the presentation here? Which is, I can't believe it's AMP. Which is going to be presented by Madison from Want Mobile and Sebastian. And it's going to take you through how he built this thing. And hopefully, when his presentation, I'm sure it will work just fine. So you can't talk about AMP without talking about distribution platforms. That's really one of the great things about AMP, and one of the promises of AMP, is that you can make content that works insanely fast, that loads near instantly, feels like it's native mobile content, and have it work that way across a wide variety of platforms. It really is a build your page once, you control the monetization, you control the layout, the business logic, the content, and have it just work across a wide variety of platforms. That's really been the goal from the beginning. This is something that we wanted to embrace. And the platforms have embraced AMP. You see a bunch of incredible partners that are up here today that have actually gone live with AMP, some of which you'll be hearing give presentations throughout the conference, so make sure you check it out. In fact, up next will be Pinterest. It's pretty exciting. But today I also want to talk about a few new companies and welcome a few new members to the AMP family. So first, Yahoo Japan. I think Yahoo's a pretty well-known brand name, but Yahoo Japan is one of the largest search engines in the Asia-Pacific region, and they're announcing today that they're going live with AMP in their search results. This little video there. That looks really familiar. I hadn't seen that site before. Next up is Sogo, which is a very fast-growing website. It's the #2 search engine in China, and it's growing like a rocket. And they are also launching AMP live, starting today. And of course, you can't talk about the Chinese market without talking about Baidu. So I'd like to welcome on the stage Lei Gao, who's somewhere. There we are. Hi, Lei. Senior Technology Manager at Baidu, who's going to talk to you about what they're doing with AMP.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Vice. Thanks the invitation to this conference. Let me see my phone because my poor English. My name is Gao Lei. I worked at the largest Chinese search engine, Baidu. And in Baidu, I'm in charge of the web performance. Now, as we know, the speed is the most important factor for the mobile pages, and the AMP is helpful in solving these problems. When we found out about the AMP, we were very excited because it is aligned with our vision. By now, Baidu has started to index the AMP pages, and Baidu's cache is available for the AMP pages. Moreover, as a foundation, with the AMP as a foundation, we have completed some extensions in China because many things are different in China. We call these extensions MIP. But in the near future, we will commit these extensions to the AMP project. In the past year, we have influenced all the websites that get traffic from the Baidu. And we have validated more than 1 billion pages that by the MIP validator. Besides the code and the cache, we would like to do more to improve the user experience of the mobile page. And we would like to see more websites and more engineers, more developers to join this AMP project. Thank you all. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. So with the addition of Baidu and the others that I mentioned today, we have tremendously increased the reach of where your AMP pages can go. So it's over 1 billion new users are able to access your AMP pages with the new AMP family members that are joining today. So thank you all very much for participating in AMP. I think it's really fulfilling the promise that it's had since the beginning, which is this build your file once and have it work the same way and work well everywhere. The next important pillar of AMP is the technology platforms. And one of the things that's different about AMP is that it's the same as the web. That's not typically the case in the distribution platforms. And by being part of the web, you really get to take advantage of the entire web ecosystem as you build your pages. And that's one of the goals that we've had, is to not branch off from the web, but to be really part of the web and embrace the web ecosystem. You get amazing tools. Today, AMP is supported by all of the major CMS vendors that are out there, including some big e-commerce companies that are starting, like BigCommerce. There's a tremendous ecosystem that's grown of integrators and technology companies that do everything from building their own cache, like Cloudflare has, to supporting transcoding of documents on the fly, like Relay and Marfeel. And of course, all the regular embeds that are on the web that you know and love, everything from Vimeo to YouTube to Brightcove, they all work inside AMP as well. And it keeps getting easier to publish AMP documents. Today, I'm also very proud to announce that Tumblr is going to be rolling out in Q2 335 million new blogs in AMP. So welcoming Tumblr to the AMP family. Yeah, big round of applause. And obviously, one of the biggest components of the tech ecosystem is monetization. And it's really important that monetization works very well for publishers. And that includes not just a rich and diverse ads ecosystem, a rich and diverse analytics ecosystem, but also support for paywalls and subscription content. Today, we have over 125 domains that have adopted AMP's native subscription model, native paywall solution, which lets the publisher control the paywall just as they've always done, and has support for it built into AMP. But we also have 70 ad servers which support AMP today, to over 25 different analytics companies, and it's a growing list. It's actually one of the things that we can rarely keep up to date on a slide, because there's always someone checking in a new ad network. It's amazing how many there are. And what we would all expect is to be true is true. Speed drives revenue. Users come to your page, they're more likely to see your page if your page loads fast. They're less likely to bounce, and they're more likely to see your ads and your monetization. What we're finding is that from our internal data, 80% of AMP publishers report higher viewability on their content. 85% of AMP publishers see a higher CTR, and the majority see higher CPMs as a result. If you implement AMP the way you implement your mobile website, you program the same number of ad units, you have your sales team actually sell against the inventory, you serve your content over HTTPS, you can actually get really great results. And we have a best practices guide that's up on our website, and I would encourage all of you publishers to go take a look and make sure that you're engaged on the monetization side of your content as well. And last, but certainly not least, are the contributors. These are the folks that are checking code into the GitHub repository that is actually what makes AMP special. And we've had nearly 10,000 developers that have engaged with AMP on the GitHub, over 300 contributors from a wide variety of different organizations and individuals, and there are actually 10 of you in this room today. So if you wouldn't mind, stand up if you're one of these 10. There we go, and let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you all. You're the ones that are making AMP what it is today. And we have a special gift for you at the contributors' lunch table. You'll get it later. So AMP is really all about the community. It's really about the contributors, the publishers, the tech companies, the distribution platforms, all coming together as one, really focused on building something new, something that can make users' experiences on their phone light years better, which is instantly loading web pages. And we're really grateful to have you all as part of the AMP family, and welcome to AMP Conf. Thank you.